Welcome, my friends, and let me tell you a story about love, class differences, and a young woman's journey to find her own happiness. Enjoy the story. It was a warm summer evening in the affluent suburbs of Connecticut when the long-awaited meeting finally took place. Martha Vanderbilt, matriarch of the prominent Vanderbilt family, known for their successful wine importing business, had begrudgingly agreed to meet her son John's fiancée Tracy for the first time. As Martha critically eyed the nervous young woman sitting across from her in the opulent living room of the Vanderbilt estate, her disapproval was palpable. With a haughty sniff, she turned to John and said, "Really, dear, couldn't you have found someone a bit more suitable? She hardly seems like she belongs in our social circles." John's handsome face flushed with anger. "Mother, how can you say that when you've only just met her? Tracy is a wonderful modern woman and I love her. Isn't that enough?" Tracy fidgeted uncomfortably on the antique settee, her simple dress and drugstore makeup a stark contrast to Martha's designer labels and professional blowout. She tried to interject. "Mrs. Vanderbilt, I know I may not come from money, but I truly love your son." "Love? What does a girl like you know about love?" Martha cut her off with a sharp bark of laughter. "You're just after the Vanderbilt fortune. Admit it, you gold-digging hussy." "Mother, enough." John jumped to his feet, glaring at Martha. "I won't let you speak to my future wife that way." Martha waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, please, she's hardly wife material. No breeding, no class. She'll never fit in with our crowd." Tracy bit her lip, fighting back tears as John argued fruitlessly with his mother. Just then, Robert Vanderbilt folded his newspaper with a sigh. "I'm heading to bed," he announced. "Try to keep it down, will you? Some of us have work in the morning." With that, he left the room. John turned to Tracy, his eyes softening. "I'm so sorry about this, honey. Let's get out of here, okay?" Tracy nodded mutely, allowing him to take her hand and lead her out of the suffocating house. As the young couple drove away into the night, John shook his head in frustration. "I don't know what's wrong with that woman," he grumbled. "Dad always said not to take it personally, that she's just set in her ways. But the way she treated you was unacceptable." "It's okay, John," Tracy said quietly, though her heart ached. "I understand she just wants what's best for you." "No, it's not okay." John hit the steering wheel for emphasis. "I'm a grown man. I make my own decisions. And I'm deciding to marry you, Tracy, no matter what she says. She'll come around eventually. I hope." Tracy wanted to believe him, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Would she ever truly be accepted by John's blue blood family? Or would she always be seen as the low-class interloper, the unworthy Cinderella snagging the prince? The next day, Tracy tried to put the disastrous meeting out of her mind as she returned to work at Chic Boutique, the trendy dress shop where she was employed as a seamstress. She was in the middle of fitting a gown for one of their most elite clients, successful CEO Anastasia Winthrop, when her cell phone suddenly rang. The caller ID flashed Martha Vanderbilt. With shaking hands, Tracy answered. "Hello? Tracy, darling." Martha's sickly sweet voice dripped through the phone. "I hope you don't mind me calling you at work, but I just had the most fabulous idea. I'm throwing myself a little birthday soiree this weekend at the Regal Room, and I'd be simply delighted if you and John could attend." Tracy's stomach dropped. The Regal Room was the most exclusive restaurant in town, a place where the Vanderbilts and their ilk regularly wined and dined. Martha was clearly setting a trap, hoping to humiliate her out-of-place future daughter-in-law in front of all her snooty society friends. "Oh, that sounds lovely, Mrs. Vanderbilt," Tracy managed to say. "I'll have to check with John, but I'm sure we'd be happy to come." "Wonderful. I'll have my assistant send over the details. Ciao for now." With a click, Martha was gone. Tracy hung up the phone, a sense of dread washing over her. How was she supposed to fit in at a fancy party like that? She'd stick out like a sore thumb among all those pedigreed debutantes and trust fund brats. Anastasia, who had overheard the conversation, took one look at Tracy's stricken face and immediately understood the situation. "Oh, honey, you can't let that wretched woman get the best of you," she said, putting a comforting arm around Tracy's shoulders. "You're twice the lady she is, no matter what your background." You don't understand, Anastasia, Tracy said miserably, tears pricking at her eyes. I'll be completely out of my element there. I don't know the first thing about which fork to use, or how to make small talk with rich people. Martha's going to take one look at me and know I don't belong. Anastasia's perfectly lined lips curved into a determined smile. Well then, we'll just have to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm not about to let some snotty old bat ruin your relationship. By the time I'm done with you, you'll be the belle of the ball. Over the next few days, Anastasia and her flamboyantly fabulous assistant Cody took Tracy under their wings, determined to turn the duckling into a swan. They coached her on everything from dinner party etiquette to witty conversation topics, helping her select the perfect designer dress and accessories from the boutique. With her new polished look and confidence, Tracy was almost unrecognizable. When the night of the party arrived, Tracy was a bundle of nerves as she and John pulled up to the valet outside the regal room. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered, clutching his arm. Maybe we should just go home. Absolutely not, John said firmly. You look stunning, Tracy. You're going to blow them all away, trust me. Taking a deep breath, Tracy stepped out of the car and into a blinding flurry of flashbulbs as the paparazzi swarmed like hungry sharks. Tracy! Tracy, over here! They shouted, eager to get a shot of the mysterious fiancé who had captured the Vanderbilt heir's heart. Tracy froze like a deer in headlights, but then Anastasia's coaching kicked in. She straightened her spine, lifted her chin, and smiled brilliantly as she took John's arm and glided into the restaurant, ignoring the cameras. Inside, it was like a scene from a movie. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, illuminating the cream and gold decor. Tuxedoed waiters circulated with trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres, and there, holding court in the center of the room like a queen bee, was Martha Vanderbilt. John, darling, you made it, she cooed, air-kissing his cheek. Then her gaze slid to Tracy, and her eyes widened in disbelief. Tracy, how nice to see you again, she said faintly, clearly thrown by the other woman's transformation. Happy birthday, Mrs. Vanderbilt, Tracy said smoothly. Thank you so much for inviting us. What a lovely party. She gave a gracious nod to the other guests, who were all eyeing her with avid curiosity. As the night wore on, Tracy managed to hold her own, making charming small talk and navigating the complicated place settings without a single faux pas. She could feel Martha's hawk-like gaze on her all evening, waiting for her to slip up, but Tracy refused to give her the satisfaction. Finally, as the party began to wind down, Martha pulled John aside. I must say I'm impressed, she admitted grudgingly. That girl of yours, she's not quite what I expected. John beamed with pride. I told you, Mother. Tracy's an amazing woman. I'm lucky to have her. But the glow of victory was short-lived. Outside the restaurant, as Tracy and John waited for the valet to bring around their car, the truth came spilling out. I can't do this anymore, John, Tracy said abruptly, her voice shaking. I can't spend my life trying to prove myself to your mother, constantly worrying that I'm not good enough. John looked at her in confusion. What are you talking about? You were incredible tonight, Tracy. You proved her wrong. Tracy shook her head sadly. Don't you see? I shouldn't have to prove anything. If you really loved me, truly believed in me, you would have stood up to her long before this. Instead, you let her insult me, demean me, make me feel like trash. Tracy, I'm sorry, John said helplessly. I didn't realize. I know you didn't, and that's the problem. Tracy reached up and unclasped the glittering diamond necklace she wore, the one Anastasia had lent her. She pressed it into his hand. I love you, John. But I love myself too, and I can't marry into a family that will never see me as an equal. With that, she turned and walked away, leaving a stunned John standing alone on the curb. She made it halfway down the block before the tears started to fall, blurring her vision. Suddenly, a car pulled up alongside her, and the window rolled down. Hey, Cinderella? Need a ride? It was Cody, grinning at her from the driver's seat. Anastasia thought you might want to make a quick getaway. Tracy managed a watery smile as she climbed into the car. Thanks, Cody. I appreciate it. As they drove off into the night, Tracy yanked off the delicate gold heels she wore, tossing them out the window. She wiped away her tears with the back of her hand, smearing her carefully applied makeup. "You know, you really did look amazing tonight," Cody said, glancing over at her with an admiring smile. "Those Vanderbilt snobs didn't deserve you." Tracy managed a watery laugh. "Thanks, Cody. You and Anastasia were the ones who made me look that way, though. Maybe on the outside. But that poise and confidence? That was all you, babe." His words made Tracy's cheeks flush, and she found herself studying Cody's handsome profile in a new light as he drove. She'd always thought he was attractive in that flamboyant way of his, but now she saw an unexpected depth there, too. "You really think I handled myself well?" she asked shyly. Cody snorted. "Are you kidding? You were freaking Grace Kelly back there. I wanted to take a picture with my little disposable camera." Tracy giggled at the image. "Why am I not surprised you have one of those?" "What can I say? I'm an artiste," Cody joked, making her laugh again. As their banter continued, Tracy felt the tension and hurt from the evening melting away, replaced by a warmth blossoming in her chest. She studied Cody from under her lashes as he animatedly recounted some wild party story, taking in his sparkling eyes and infectious grin. This man had been by her side every step of the way, lifting her up when she was down, giving her the courage to walk away from a toxic situation. He saw her for who she truly was, no pretenses, no pedestals, just Tracy. Without really thinking about it, Tracy reached over and laid her hand on top of Cody's where it rested on the gear shift. He looked at her in surprise, but didn't pull away. "You know," she said softly, "I think this night is just getting started." Cody's grin widened as he laced his fingers through hers. "Whatever you want, Cinderella. I'm just along for the ride." As they sped off into the night together, the city lights twinkling ahead full of possibility, Tracy knew her fairy tale was just beginning, and this time she'd get to choose her own prince.